Hey everybody, Barton here. Welcome back to another training tutorial. This week we are again talking about groove. We're going to go a little bit deeper. Last week was more just a practical exercise to begin working on relationship to the beat and different parts of it and becoming more familiar with that and confident in it. Today we're going to be talking about almost more philosophically what a groove is, trying to identify some things that tend to feel a little more scientific rules that we can have that ultimately we can break, but do so intentionally. So I want to answer three questions. What is it? Who do I follow? Who does it? And then how do we grow in it? So from the top, what is it? What is it? The best image I have for groove is the idea of an old barn door sliding across a plank, set in the floor for just years and years and years and years. That's the best image I've got. Maybe you've heard it described other ways, like the pocket, for instance, thrown in the ditch. Different ways to describe groove and that feeling and that locking in around a rhythm and syncopation and everything, where the whole band really comes together. Ways to describe that. Now, that is probably, I would say, a defining factor of groove, is that it's relational. It's relational. It's not just you and the click. Yes, it's a relationship. We can change the way the groove feels to mean the click, but if we're all changing our relationship to the click really unintentionally, some of us are on it, some of us are ahead of it, some are behind it, unless that's really, really intentional to create some certain feeling and consistent there, it just really can't happen. It has to be something that me together as a band. I think about blend when I was in choir in high school. That was something we talk often about because, you'd have 20 altos, 20 sopranos, 12 basses, and 4 tenors. It's always the way it went. So how do you communicate maybe a 8-part piece with that kind of balance? Well, you got to be listening across the whole entire choir, know your parts so well that you can do that and blend each other. Make sure you're not over singing some of those smaller groups or those other parts, and even the parts that are most important. I was saying a band at work functions a lot the same way. It's that second level of the pyramid that we talk about when people interview and join the team, is we have all the right notes, and then during rehearsal we get to this helping stage. It's where I'm listening to other people. I'm trying to figure out how do I adjust what I'm doing to make sure overall it's fitting as best as possible with what we're doing this weekend. Maybe we make an adjustment to make something work a little bit better. Okay, how do I adjust then to make sure I'm supporting the other people in the band and we're all locking in and coming together? It's a relational thing. It's the sum of all these parts. It's just when we're totally locked in and it just feels right, like we're that marble rolling down the groove from the door. So what is it? Hopefully that makes sense. Maybe you've got some other ideas. Put them down in the comments below. I would love to talk about it. 2, who do I follow? If it's relational, obviously I feel like it's a question of who. Well, who are some of the most important people to be looking at when it comes to setting that? Again, kind of a science, but an art, and so many rules to be broken. But again, know the rules so you might intentionally break them. When I'm looking around and I'm trying to figure out who am I going to follow when it comes to groove, main section to look at is our rhythm section. Makes sense, rhythm, right? So that drummer and their relationship to the tempo is utterly important on how I should be relating to the tempo a lot of the time. And then the bass player too. Those two and my mix on my in-ear monitors or my stage wedge, whatever it is, my mix is always going to be pretty central and present. I've got the click, that's great, but I want to know exactly what that drummer is doing and the bass is doing, the rhythm is doing with how they're relating to the tempo, so I can lock in with that and make sure it's communicating as well as possible. And so start with the drums. The bass is great for setting a very sonic platform and emphasizing a lot of things the drums are doing, but that drum, and it's such a powerful tool for just setting the tempo and giving a sense of the syncopation and the rhythm. Now, I'd say there's 2 reasons for that, and they end up being the 2 reasons for any instrument. If you want to kind of make a hierarchy, instrument that does a good job of setting rhythm and can do that, or the ways in which other instruments maybe aren't so good at it, have to kind of change to accomplish the task of being the rhythmic setting instrument in the group. And that is, they have a sharp attack and a quick decay. A sharp attack and a quick decay. What does that mean? It's a snap. It is there, very bright, present, cutting, gone in a second. You know, I would say the bottom of the list for accomplishing the task would be a pad. A pad is very slow attack, very long decay. That is the contrast. So things that can set, you know, tempo and a big stuff with a sharp attack and a quick decay. Another instrument that does a really, really good job of that, especially in a band context, when sometimes some of the sonic thing, the harmonic stuff it adds can a little bit be lost, is an acoustic guitar. When it's strumming along, it has that sharp attack and that quick decay a lot of the time, because that next stroke cuts off the sound and gets right into another stroke, right? Up and down. Now you could work your way down the list, you know, maybe it's acoustic guitar, electric guitar, piano, and then bass, and then keys, and, you know, figure it out that way. But I would also say the one you need to work in there, and it's the exception to the rule, again, is the vocal. Be paying attention to the vocal when it comes to timing and tempo. We don't think about this, but we know this to be true because I could start singing Amazing Grace and you all could just lock in with me. We could sing the national anthem and everyone could be able to sing along if they know the words. The vocals have an incredible ability to set tempo. So if you're a vocalist, do your best. I mean, you're able to be creative, maybe move something around a little bit, but your relationship to that tempo has to be strong. It has to be something that people can lock in with. And if it's going to be creative and kind of out there, well, then everyone just needs to be on board with that and be able to play along with that. So that was my hierarchy, actually, is drums. Who do I follow? Drums, vocals. Drums, vocals. Now, drums aren't there. Who do I follow? Probably the vocals. If the vocal's not there, who do I follow? I don't know. Maybe the acoustic guitar is going. If the acoustic guitar is not going, who do I follow? I don't know. Is the electric guitar doing something? Is the piano one being that rhythm? They're taking that space. Now you can begin to figure out, who am I supposed to be following? Who is setting really that tone and the groove right now? And then maybe it's the piano and then the drums comes in with something complementary. Well, let's be following that. Begin deciphering, come out who really is creating this feel and who do I need to lock in with so that this continues to feel correct. All right, so what is it? Who is it essentially? Who do I follow? Now, how do I do it? How do I do it? Well, I think hopefully the who is giving you some ideas, but the what, I want to point you towards improvisation. Improvisation is really revealing. Improvisation asks me the question of how well do I know my instrument? How well, not just rhythmically am I able to relate with other people who are now laying down a beat or something, but also, you know, harmonically am I able to relate? Do I know my instrument well enough to be harmonically where I need to be to complement what is going on? A mentor of mine put it in these terms. It's the language of your instrument. You know, we can sit here and essentially improvise. You know, I have some of my thoughts thought out for this video, but some things I'm coming up with on the fly because I know this language well enough. I know some of the content I want to give well enough that I can kind of just come up with things and I'm able to articulate them hopefully in ways that make sense. We can do that in a conversation. We're improvising back and forth. Again, relational, conversational would even be a good way to think about groove. And so if you want to grow in that, you have to, like if you're learning a new language, become more fluent. So spend time learning the instrument, learning scales, learn a new genre, get outside of the same things you always play when you sit down to practice. Maybe there's always worship stuff, or always classical stuff, or always blues, or always jazz, whatever it is. Jump into reggae, jump into bluegrass, jump into, you know, math rock, I don't know, but go outside your box and add some new tools because you'll find at the end of the day that they're creating different ways to get that same feel. And now all of a sudden I've done this in 3 different genres and I've got 3 new ways of accomplishing something that feels sad, for instance. And I can apply it now to what I'm trying to play and communicate something that feels sad, maybe out of a genre, but maybe it can work. This helps grow your repertoire. And again, in the improvisation, I'm able to, in that moment, these more things that I know, ways that I grow, different tools and tricks that I add. My fluency grows. I'm able to speak without really having to think a whole lot about it. It just becomes very, very natural. So that's the number one. Take time, play with other people and improvise. And it's very scary in the beginning. It's very scary to try new things. I told them to find a safe place to accomplish that at home. Play with some stuff, just some backing tracks and just growing until you feel confident in doing it. And so learn how to improvise, learn the language of your instrument, become fluid so that you can be conversational and relational one of the best ways to hone in on groove, because again, that relational piece, think about the other person, think outside of yourself and understand what their instrument does best and the role that their instrument is now currently taking over. Maybe it's the one yours currently does. Maybe you are the, piano, and you're taking over the role of the bass at the moment. It's a smaller part of the song, holding down that low end. Bass, what do? Maybe you add something up higher that is out of the way, but definitely allows the smallness of the moment and the piano to take the lead there. And then maybe it all flips upside, the drums come in, and then the bass comes in, and we have that big platform, and then the piano has to move away from being that main primary source of the tonic. This is beginning to make sense. So as you understand the different roles, and we'll keep talking about that in the next video of the more harmonic tonal side of things, on the rhythmic side, begin to understand the role that your instrument is playing with that beat. The last thing I'll give you is another example that I really like from Jeff. And this is really helpful, is begin to set your metronome. And again, 120 is always 120. It just doesn't change. You have to begin to set yourself to understand. Somebody asked me to play 120, I'm playing 120. But just because you're a little front of the head of the beat does not mean you're not really in time, because your relationship and how you make it feel has changed. Same thing with playing a little bit behind the beat and also playing right on top of the beat. Now there's a difference of being all the way outside of the ditch and playing, moving things ahead, the tempo's getting faster. No, the tempo is staying. It's just we're right on the edge of that wanting to speed up, or right on the edge of that wanting to slow down. I can change completely the way something feels, and we have to lock in with that to really actually ever realize the groove that's going on right there. So hopefully this has been explanatory. Again, not really something to like something to take home and put in your practice, but hopefully some useful tools as you come into rehearsal and you spend time in practice and you're listening to songs critically and going, okay, who is really setting the groove right now? Who am I going to be needing to lock in the song when it comes to rehearsal on Saturday or Sunday? Hey, appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for taking the time to watch these videos. We will see you next month. Bye.